Five, four, three, two, one. We have ignition. Strap in. You're about to listen to the hottest sounds.
Dream Catcher Radio.
Sometimes when you're in a dark place, you think you've been buried, but actually, you've been planted.
Well, I won't back down. No, I won't back down. You could stand me up at the gates of hell, but I won't back down. No, I'll stand my ground. Won't be turned around, and I'll keep this world from dragging me down. Gonna stand my ground.
Good afternoon. We are back discussing the Ralph Christie injustice case. We're now on episode number 17. One thing that's really interesting is Ralph has been alluding to this during the series about how he believed that he was a victim in injustice, and it involved his son and also his brother. And he's now started talking about it in the last series in whole, and he's going to continue on today to talk about it. And the feedback we've had always consistently on this series has been very positive in support of Ralph and people understanding that injustice does exist. But one thing that we've noticed in the comments that we get back at the radio station is how difficult it must be knowing that you've been turned over by your own son and your own brother. And that's the sentiment that I'd like to pass forward to Ralph, that we get back on the radio station following the last episode. Now, and it's got to be a very difficult, bitter pill to swallow. And so we're going to talk about this today in a bit more detail. And Ralph has always maintained his innocence, which is a very, very difficult position to be in, because to plead guilty gets you discounts on your sentence, and also gets you better access to what you may call privileges in prison, orderly jobs and all that sort of stuff. But maintaining innocence throughout your sentence is a difficult ride. Even trying to get access to education for early release, they restrict it for some reason because you maintain your innocence. I believe the basis of maintaining your innocence is that what the judiciary will say is that you're showing no remorse for your actions. That's one of the reasons why I joined the board at APMI, which is the Association of Prisoners Maintaining Innocence. I didn't really know much about them until early this year. And it's fascinating, the stories that I hear, because believe me, the stats are there. Even by government themselves release their own statistics, who they believe that people are innocent in prison. And it's astonishing, right? That they know people are innocent in prison, but they're still there. You got the CCRC, which is a criminal case review body, or commission, I think it's called. Basically their own statistics suggest the same. They even go even further. So there's people that actually do or are in the prison system today that because they maintain their innocence, they ain't getting out anytime soon. They really not. And that's a sad state of a society. It really is. I remember Nelson Mandela said, the best way to judge a society is judge how they deal with people in prison. Along the words to that effect. Anyway, that sounds a real drainer. Ralph, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, brothers. Yeah.
I didn't know I was going to go down that avenue, but anyway, I started it, so I might as well finish.
Yeah, well, it's true what you say. You do get a hard time for not pleading guilty. I mean, my day releases were very, very much restricted. You get set up by prison officers in the prison. I became a Greek citizen in 2007, so I should have had 9 months knocked off my sentence and come back to Greece, to my family home, and to continue my businesses in April 2017. But Andrew West wasn't having any of that. He refused what they called the earth. And in fact, he even made me do the extra 90 days that he lied about in January 2014 to remand me, that Judge Dunham Hall knocked off at sentencing, but he didn't even give me that. So I didn't get me 9 months for being a Greek citizen at the time. And he made me serve the remand time that he got me in 2014. Why Cedric and Declan and everybody else was colluding to get me unlawfully convicted. Yeah, coming back to what you say about, it's a long time ago now, isn't it? 2014. I've seen very little of Cedric and Declan since they did what they did. I don't say you become hardened to it, because it's very, very sad. I mean, last week we had the letter of sympathy that Declan clearly stated that I was innocent in April 2011 to Cedric, asking my brothers to help me. He knew that the money had been placed exactly where I said. I've sent an email out to them after last week's show. A lot of people have contacted me. Exactly what you said at the start. They said, how can you put up with your own son and your own brother doing this? Well, they've done it. There's no doubt about it. They knew I was innocent. I couldn't get out of prison. In fact, they made life harder for me in prison. So, we are where we are. And as I say, my life's moved on and what have you. I still want justice. I can't believe that all this exposure about the West Yorkshire Police protecting the rapist Stephen Thomas, Cedric's confession where he clearly admitted setting up various people for umpteen years. We had a long conversation about Simon Bottomley saying how great West Yorkshire Police was. Well, it's just a complete nonsense, isn't it? I mean, we talk about the cover-ups of what's been going on with like Jimmy Savile. It looks like all the cover-ups up now with Prince Andrew flying women into Stansted Airport and backwards and forwards. It's just a complete mess. But hopefully we will get there. I mean, my appeal is in, or I know we go on. I don't know what Jeremy Moores is doing. We haven't had a conversation with him, but I mean, it's just really 2 sentences sums it up, doesn't it? I was unlawfully convicted by my own younger brother Cedric and my eldest son Declan, and nothing was disclosed by the CPS about their horrific conspiracy to nail me, and that's it. It's totally illegal. There's a conflict before you start, so they should have been a long way away from it. But of course, Vimana Senior, Bottomley, and Chris Rowley, Stephen Taylor, even Nikos, the lawyer here that we've exposed has been, various defence witnesses that turned prosecutions based on the lies. It's all there. It's all in the public domain. It's I suppose it's that big. They don't really know what to do with it.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine, people talk about life and forgiveness, and I think you forgave them already, in my opinion. But the mere fact that they're not willing to speak out without risk to themselves as well, probably Cedric may have risk, I guess, but Declan, no.
Yeah, I mean, you would think he would defend himself if he was in a position to defend himself, but he's far from in a position to do that, because his status in all this is worse than Cedric's, because without his lies to Cedric, whether Cedric wanted the lies or whatever, that's what's actually happened. Declan was there when the money was paid into Bally. It was 600,000 on the 5th of March 2009. He saw that being paid. He was there when Peter Moyes came down in his private jet and took took some land off us for 700,000. So he knew all about this sort was going on. And, it's like it's going back to what he said to Kath Walmsley, that was Cedric's girlfriend at the time in January 2014. He said, I'm just fed up of the case, so I'm going to go to the police. He didn't say, my dad's a criminal, I'm going to go to the police. He just got fed up with it because obviously it was hampering his business going forward because it's associated with me. And, that's what he actually did. I mean, I sent an email out to we seem to talk about this every week, which is probably a good thing because, there's 150 people copied in, all the conspirators, all the shareholders from Blackhear's Palace, all the people that are down money, not down to my fault, which includes the link of episode 16. So, maybe we can read that out, and then we can read about a letter that I sent to Declan from 2016 from prison that he never responded to. And even back then, I didn't realise the scale of what him and Cedric actually did to nail me at that. So most of it's come out since I was in prison. So, it's not as if we knew everything from day one. And as far as I know, Cedric and Declan fell out in February 2017, just after I'd repaid Cedric the money through Pocker that he says I still owe him today, on a skiing trip. And I don't think they've made up since then. So, it's not good, really. I don't know what the relationship between Cedric's son Cameron and what have you, but as far as I know, Declan and Cameron are just living at large and just forgotten about their parents in a lot of ways, which is very sad.
Okay, let's go through this email. And you actually asked me what did I think about the email when you sent it to me early in the week, and I just said it was really funny how you signed it off. It says here, and as you say, you copied in a lot of people, many in authority. And it says, hi, Deck, Ced, and Cam. You have all received over 800 emails from others and me since the one below 18th of August 2021. Ced, you have sent out a few emails since, full of untruths, but not from your partners in crime in 2014. From Deck and Cam. Episode 16 and the attached evidence, the key role of all three of you played in my lawful conviction in early 2015. My people and others copied in want to know why. Please, can you collectively or individually let us know before we record episode next week, 17. Thanks. Much love, Dad, Bro, and Uncle. Now, I will say I've reached out to Declan and Cedric. Neither of them have got back to me.
Yeah. And I know for a fact that Neil will be, when he was doing his good work for me over many years, up to 2024, was tried to doorstep Declan and Cedric, and totally ignored him and wouldn't have anything to do with him. So, they're the ones that are hiding. It is sad. I mean, this all just goes back to, they were helping me in the Greek trial, which we said before. And I just went back for my daughter Lauren's graduation on the 8th of December 2013. And then I just got arrested twice while Cedric and Declan falsified all this evidence. So, that's true, is that there's over 800 emails I've sent to them. I don't know if I'll ever see Declan and Cedric together again, to be fair. They obviously, I've seen them individually since, but, they've just totally stitched me up how they've done it and what have you. They've lied to each other, or, we go back to this falsified document that to do with Bally that Cedric produced in May 2020, 5 years after I'm convicted, that there's no Greek copy of, and that was what he was floating around to people to change, to make them prosecution in April 2014. And also the fact that he told, no, not the fact, he made up that to Pat Brownette that all the money came out of Zakros in October 2008, when even his money didn't come out of Zakros because it was paid over between me and Mario Cercioni from cash flow. So, it's all there in black and white. So I'll send that email. I'll send another copy out of episode 17, so they can get it. Who I send that to, I don't know, but nothing back from Tayeb Ali. We've spoken about him and sent him emails. I'm on to the solicitor for South Hams in Devon now, David Fairburn, who's been it's quite obvious about all the lies that Sue Waters told to her counsel, especially at the meeting on the 21st of the 3rd, 2021, all in the public domain. Her involvement in 2011 with Keir Starmer and Stephen Taylor, and Stephen Thomas's lawyer, the CPS, the Serious Fraud Office, Andrew West. So again, it's all out there, isn't it? Should we go on to this letter that I sent to?
Yes,
Declan?
we are going to go into that right now. So we have this letter here, which you sent me, which is to my dearest Declan. It's quite a long letter. I just looked at. I've not read this, so we're going for this first. What I'm thinking, if I start off page 1,
Yeah,
and I'll finish off at the top of page 2, looking at this. And let me read this out then. Okay, this is dated the 8th of April 2016. So, for the sake of listeners, I'm reading this for the first time, so I don't know what to expect.
yeah.
Okay.
Let me just state, Brad, I'm in HMP Sudbury, which is in Derbyshire at the time, in an open prison. The last time I saw Declan was about the 4th of June 2015 when he visited me at HMP Lindholm with my ex-wife Jane, Kenton and Lauren. And that's where he said, you've done the time, Dad, so you've done the crime, Dad, so do the time and what have you. And I hadn't really seen him since I sent this letter. So, it took me a long time to write it in prison and what have you, but everything in there was genuine, and it was from the heart, really.
Okay. In big bold lettering at the top, the truth will always come out. And I just want to remind people, right, it's got to be a tough life, right, knowing you're innocent and you're in prison. Thankfully, Ralph, in all honesty, when you look at people with long sentences in prison, you only served, I say only, I apologise, was it 7 years, Ralph?
Well, 3.5 I served, yeah. I got a 7-year sentence, but collectively there was 28 years of sentencing.
So anyway, not anyway, sorry, I apologise. As you nearly reach your 25th birthday, I am taking the time to write to you as an extremely proud father on what you have achieved by such an age. And in a lot of ways, it mirrors what I did business-wise from 19 years old onwards. No one can ever take away the joy, friendship, and love I had in bringing you up, which gives me great comfort. I wonder if you would be so kind to read and reply and give me some clarification, feelings and thoughts on the terrible position our family has been put in and found ourselves in since I simply seized on an opportunity I saw in Crete in 2001, where I wanted Jane and I to live out our lives enjoying, watch Lauren, Kenton, and you make your ways in life. When I was your age, I've been blessed with lucky enough to have met your mother, and she has since become my best friend of all time and is the sister I never had. That's quite an emotional letter, isn't it? The biggest sorry.
Yeah, it is, because it is true, is that, because Debbie was just, even though we got divorced and that, we still remain great friends. And like I said in previous episodes, the upbringing of the children was most important, which I thank my second wife Jane for helping a lot with. So the foundations of Declan's life and Lauren's had been very, very good. Private education and helping them achieve themselves at sport and what have you, and got them involved in many social aspects, holidays with friends and everything. So yeah, the for me as a father, the foundations of having the children, I thought was perfect, and we should have. You should have continued that way. But obviously, since 2016, we found out more about Cedric's role, Declan's role, and of course, Deborah, who I talk about here so highly of, is now since the middle of 2018. Let's say she's totally gone against me, won't have anything to do with me, and I suppose that in some ways is she is the mother of of Declan, so she's not going to go against her son. And I think I pushed it to the boundaries of her and said, "Look, he's done this to me. We have to deal with it." And of course, she's just battened down the hatches and unfortunately gone along with it. But there's no real answer to that, is there?
No, it's a very awkward set of circumstances, for sure. Okay, let's carry on. The biggest losers are this sad state of affairs at the moment, along with many other family, friends, and business colleagues, which causes me great sorrow and sadness, is Jane and Kenton. Jane, who has now lost her marriage, our true love relationship, and our family home in Ohio.
Top of the Holly.
Okay. Which I will now must likely sell, that she helped making into a true love nest for us all to enjoy. She was an outstanding wife to me, very kind, loving, and generous to Lauren. You and me ever since I met her in 1999. I will, of course, make sure she's well catered for and get everything she's entitled to from me, just as I did for your mother, Lauren, and yourself. I'm a great believer, as you know, that children should suffer as little as possible on a breakdown of marriage, which is not the fault of the shortcomings, is not their fault, but the shortcomings of the parents. That's actually quite an important point. I just want to cover that as a side issue. It really is, when the marriage breaks down, it's the people in the marriage that are responsible, not the kids.
Totally, yeah.
Because I see court cases where one parent's blame the kids and stuff like that. No, it's got nothing to do with the kids. It's always the parents. Always the parents. Unfortunately, Jane and my breakdown is due to her wrongly believing that the money land deal I did with Jason in 2007, St. George's Hotel site I bought with Thomas's in February 2009, and the €400,000 in Bali were not paid for when they clearly were. I will also help Jane to pursue the instigators of this life-changing mess, hopefully to a financial gain to us all. Kenton now does not have the privileged upbringing that I gave Lauren and yourself, which again causes me huge upset. But it is something I will put right for him one way or another. Be rest assured. Jane is doing an outstanding job, albeit as a single parent with little or no support. When you visited me in Linderholm last June, I said I'd forgiven you for any wrong assumptions you had as regards Crete, and seemed to stem after you were so supportive of me in Hania prison and my Cretan exoneration in October 2013, which was a hard thing for me to forgive, but the right decision for the sake of you and me and us as all as a family. Remember, you met Dr. Themis Selfus in Hania with Cameron and David Campion in August 2013, and you told Themis that I was an innocent man, which was 3 months after you wrote a moving letter about me and the false assumptions that were flying around at the time. After your visit, Jane back up what you were saying as regards what land was paid for and what was not. And you said on the phone to me after that I was lying about most things regarding Crete. If this was the case, why did you wait until I was wrongly jailed for 7 years until saying you believed I was a complete liar and fraudster? I believed you were bullied, misled, used, and taken advantage of in late 2013. And I expressed this opinion to your mother. Mum has so far refused to challenge or discuss this matter with you, but at some point it will have to come to a head, like most things do. I am going to write on, but put these facts on paper to you for you to ponder and respond to. This is where you take over, St. George.
Yeah, okay. So, of course, now we read out the letter last week that he sent to Cedric in 2011 saying everything was paid for. You know, my dad had put the money exactly where it was and one thing and another. And, of course, now, we know a lot more from when I wrote this letter in 2016 because he's, now I'm in prison. He is saying I'm a fraudster. But you've got to bear in mind, him and Cameron were sat at the trial most days. Nothing had been disclosed to my defence from the CPS or from West Yorkshire Police about Cedric and Declan's doing the investigations. And I mean, they raised the counts as evidence before from 1 to 19. They changed 8 or 9 of my defence witnesses to prosecution witnesses with lies. So, this is from what he wrote in 2011. Bear in mind, Cedric sent that email to Matthew Clark, didn't he, on the 11th of April 2014, the same day Stephen Taylor was writing to Jane Thomas not to get in touch with me. Cedric has clearly said that Ralph had been over to Crete with Ralph's son Declan, and we found out a lot of stuff, and West Yorkshire Police don't have a clue. We covered it in a previous programme. This is where all the everything's been set up as we know now. So, okay, so yeah, like I say in the letter, I'm not going to write on and on about it, but like coming back to St. George's Retreat and Hotel site, I mean, this was bought for in 2009. This is the one that was connected to Howard Tennant's unlawful conviction, which was overturned at Pocker. So St. George's Retreat and Hotel site, there was one contract signed between Demitakis, who was the owner of New Century Homes, who I did about €3 million of business with other people as well.
Okay, you need to slow down a little bit because you're reading out a letter, yeah? So just slow it down.
Yeah. Okay, so there was one contract signed between Demitakis and me in February 2009 that was used as evidence in the Hania, Cretan and the UK trial. In the Hania court rulings paper that your mother has a copy of, under the notes of documents brought forward for reading before the 3-member court, it shows evidential documentation number 15 as being a clear agreement dated 25th of the 12th, 2009 between Demitakis of New Century and Ralph Christie of Cockanahorio for St. George's Retreat and for a 100-bedroom hotel site in Cockanahorio. The contract states that €300,000 deposit was paid and the overall price was €1 million cash payable over 12 months, plus the 10 houses in Almerida for both the retreat and the hotel site that Stephen Thomas and I owned. At that point, we were given full control of the whole site, and Jane and I took the rentals that summer and Malcolm Forsyth and his family were the wardens. Simon and Stephen Thomas paid €100,000 each, and me the other €100,000 in February 2009. This is all they paid, which was played out in Bradford Crown Court. Stephen, in his UK police statement, says he paid his €100,000 direct to Dimitakis, which he did, and is true. And it states by him he is suing Dimitakis now directly to recover it back from him in 2010 through his Hanya lawyer, Cretan lawyer. Simon paid his €100,000 to Stephen, again direct to Dimitakis via Stephen's Greek bank account, not to me. But I've been convicted of stealing 150,000 sterling from Simon at Bradford Crown Court. I have never received this amount ever from Simon. Not been asked ever for this amount by Simon in over 5 years. And Stephen sent Hockley 150,000 sterling for the €192,000 he received from Nikos, the lawyer, when Hockley sold his house through Phanomakis in April 2009 for what Hockley thought was €420,000. So I got convicted for this, Bradders, from Simon Thomas, who came in because he clearly stated that he'd given 150,000 sterling to his brother for St George's Retreat. This was nothing to do with St George's Retreat because he sent a separate €100,000 for it 2 months prior to this April date. I mean, this must be very difficult for your listeners to kind of fathom out, but this was a totally unlawful conviction because Simon actually sent the 150,000 to his brother for €192,000 cash that he got here, that we've spoken about again in previous programs. So this is where, this is how they've worked on an unlawful conviction. Do I need to go on any more about St George's Retreat, or shall I move on to the next one? Because I don't want it to sound too mundane for the listeners.
No, I think it's important. The reason being is that there's quite a few people that literally follow your case religiously.
Yeah,
and it gives them an insight.
yes.
Also, what you've done here, which is very interesting, is that you've gone about justifications
Yes.
in this to try and just, I suppose, how to put it, plead your case before your son.
Yes.
And say, look at this, this is, so you've got your conviction and that sort of stuff, but you're trying to explain everything. And one thing that I find really, really interesting in this, which you're going to go on to talk about here if you continue on, is that you have an acute mind. I would never be able to do this. I wouldn't even know what I had for breakfast this morning.
Yeah. I mean, I wrote this from prison or whatever. I didn't have time to write it. When you speak the truth, it's easy. I'm not even thinking.
I get that, but I genuinely wouldn't. I wouldn't know what I spent yesterday. I mean, I know these are big numbers and that sort of stuff, but if you ask me, I remember buying a Ferrari once. I wouldn't have a clue how much I paid for it. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But I knew it was a lot of money. Yeah. But I can't remember.
But you've got what's happened to me. I'm quite good at a bit of a financial whiz. I do understand how it all works. I play a lot of chess and things like that. So strategically, we did pay for St George's Retreat. Declan knew we paid for it. He knew Malcolm Forsyth and his family were running it as wardens and living there, looking after the 8 bungalows and the taverna. And a lot of Declan's friends would stay there. Mario Churchioni stayed there. Simon Thomas has stayed there. Even Richard Butters, the barrister, stayed there. Richard Fernley. There was a proper full-on holiday resort that was bringing in rentals of like 300,000 a year.
Do you know what happens, though, Ralph? When you've got money, you've got leeches.
Yeah,
that's what I've experienced in my life.
Yeah, and it's. This is the problem, really, because I'm not in Crete about the money. I'm here about the culture and the lifestyle, the weather, the food. I said before, I don't need a lot of money in my pocket. We can live very cheaply, local tavernas. So I think some of some of these people are a bit like what I call like the Marbella set or the Mallorca set or even the Dubai set. Before what's kind of happened, a lot of the people they like to have the right sunglasses on or the right shoes or wear the right clothes. I just go out in my short and my t-shirt, regardless of that. I don't have a designer watch so I'm quite a low key person but dealing with large amounts of money, like it was a 50 million euro trial. But it's about the lifestyle here that's important, rather than being flash and having your boats in the port and all that carry on, if that makes sense.
Yeah. All right, carry on.
Okay. So let me just see it.
Oh, 1 second. We need to go to a break.
Okay. Shall I? So my song, brothers, is "Seasons in the Sun" from 1974 by Terry Jacks. This is a song that was all about somebody saying goodbye. As you'll know, it's a very popular song, and it's all about life itself, really. I think it's very apt that we are playing this because obviously the photo of Declan waving me into prison that we had for the show last week was very apt. People have commented on that. And with what they've done to me as a sort of goodbye to our life in the sun that we had here, because we did have a lot of fun and a lot of joy here. So Seasons in the Sun, 1974, Terry Jacks.
Not heard that in a long, long time. Let's play that now.
Goodbye to you, my trusted friend. We've known each other since we were 9 or 10. Together we've climbed hills and trees, learned of love and ABC, and skinned our hearts and skinned our knees. Goodbye, my friend, it's hard to die when all the birds are singing in the sky. Now that the spring is in the air, pretty girls are everywhere. Think of me and I'll be there. We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun, but the hills that we climbed were just seasons out of time. Goodbye, Papa, please pray for me. I was the black sheep of the family. You tried to teach me right from wrong. Too much wine and too much song, wonder how I got along. Goodbye, Papa, it's hard to die when all the birds are singing in the sky. Now that the spring is in the air, little children everywhere. When you see them, I'll be there. We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun, but the wine and the song, like the seasons, have all gone. We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun, but the wine and the song, like the seasons, have all gone. Goodbye, Michelle, my little one. You gave me love and helped me find the sun. And every time that I was down, you would always come around and get my feet back on the ground. Goodbye, Michelle, it's hard to die when all the birds are singing in the sky. Now that the spring is in the air, flowers everywhere, I wish that we could both be there. We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun, but the stars we could reach were just starfish on the beach. We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun, but the stars we could reach were just starfish on the beach. We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun, but the wine and the song, like the seasons, have all gone. All our lives we had fun, we had seasons in the sun, but the hills that we climbed were just seasons out of.
Catch
Dreamcatcher Radio is about capturing and creating dreams through music, chat, and debate. Empowering expression, enriching society. A go-to place for unsigned musical talent. A radio station which listens to its audience. Free speech, vibrant, engaging. Stream worldwide 24/7. Events, competitions, promotions. Always keen to have a listening ear. Contact us. hello@dreamcatcherradio.com.
Dreamcatcher Radio.
Do you know what? I really enjoyed that song. I was born in 1980 and I remember that song. Do you know what? It's the first time that's ever been requested on the radio station. I actually checked the playlist to see if it's on there on the radio station. It's not on the playlist. So thank you very much. That's added to the playlist. I actually did it just now. Yeah.
Great song. I'm a bit older than you, so I do remember it.
No, I remember it, but I've not heard it in years.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's added to our playlist. So thank you very much, Ralph. That's what I love about having guests on the radio station, because everybody likes different types of genres of music and that sort of stuff. And it reminds me. I mean, like for example, pardon the pun. The example, the singer, or musician, if you want to call him that. We don't have any of his music on the radio station, and it just so happens we had a guest who's a massive fan of Example, and I just thought, do you know what? I miss his music, and I don't know where he is now in life, but anyway, I'm digressing. So I added that to the playlist as well.
Yeah, and we did have a lots of joy and fun in the sun in Crete. You know, things happen, and we are where we are, and I'm still here, but it's a shame about the breakdown in the family. But this happens, and as we know, in the royal family and other families. So, okay, so I was up to this point still going on about St George's Retreat, which was actually a fantastic deal, because we just paid 2.3 million for it in total, which included the 1 million in cash and the 10 houses. And it would have been worth like 3 million. All the individual bungalows could have been sold off for 250,000 plus. They have all been sold off individually now. If you remember the Sue Watt bogus email, she mentioned this, saying that even Christie's trying to sell off the bungalows, which is illegal. And she wrote that in September 2009. So, she completely cocked this deal up, along with many other ones, because of her naivety and stupidity. But so without harping on Declan, and when Stephen went legal in May 2009, he thought that St George's Retreat and Hotel was a scam based on information given to him by Sue Watt, just mentioned, who was proven totally useless and clueless at Bradford Crown Court, and her testimony in Crete was based on a pack of lies, which she didn't turn up to. Stephen and Simon would not pay the balance of the €700,000 in May 2009 and withdrew their 4 houses in Almeida, leaving me with a debt to Dimitakis, as the contract was in my name. To make the deal still happen for Dimitakis, and so I did not lose my €100,000, a new deal was struck in June 2009, bringing in Stefanos Varoudakis, who we bought Veron off, to take the bungalows, which he still has today. Bear in mind, I've written this in 2016. He's actually sold the whole lot on now. We made an arrangement that I would pay Stefanos' loan on his shopping centre land in Cocknahorio and do a joint venture with him there. But this went to the wall in October 2009, when West Yorkshire Police illegally froze my bank accounts in Greece. When you visited Stefanos with Cedric in April 2014, Stefanos will not have known what deal I had struck with Dimitakis, re the hotel land, and he paid Dimitakis then for the balance on the retreat side only. I do not know what Stefanos paid Dimitakis, and Stefanos would not know what I paid for the hotel side. This led you now to wrongly believe I never paid anything towards the hotel site 6 years later when I was in HMP Lindholm. You must have passed on this information to Jane at some stage because she now wrongly believes that I haven't paid for it either. In November 2009, I have an email I sent Benedict Clark saying that you, Declan, would drop off all proof of ownership of the hotel site at St George's Retreat at his office in Bankfoot in Bradford for his Leeds lawyers to advise him on what he did, which led Benedict to come to Athens December 2009 to complete on the hotel site. The paperwork you gave Benedict at his office showed I had complete control of this land from Dimitakis, other than the outstanding building licence fee and legal costs of €225,000, which Benedict Clark was going to pay. You know this land did not complete due to DC Skidmore phoning Benedict just as he was about to complete in Athens with me, saying that he would be convicted of taking proceeds of crime. So I ended up transferring the land into Peter Morris's name.
Okay.
So we've spoken about this, haven't we, previously, where Benedict Clark was told not to take this land. So Peter Morris did. We're going to read on because Declan was there when Peter Morris came down. So I don't know. Do you want to continue reading, Brannis?
I shall. Yeah, I shall. When Peter Morris came to take the land in Jan 2010, you were at most of the meetings and aware then that there was a balance to pay of €225,000 for the building license, legal taxes, and a bit of bunts for us, but nothing was to pay for the actual land. As now, I had given a back. What does that say?
Dimitakis.
Who?
Dimitakis. This is the owner of New Century Homes.
All right, Dimakakis. I house, open brackets, €140,000, close brackets, in Almeridia, which was the new build at the back of the dead house, which the Diamakis is sold to some folk from Athens and paid him a further 300,000, which was proven in BCC.
Bradford Crown Court.
Okay, yeah, we're going to discuss this very shortly, actually, with the Thomases rightfully losing their €2,000 paid. Remember, there were 10 houses in the contract with Dimakis, which were my 4. I still own in Almeridia. Stephen 4, he still owns in Almeridia. The dead house and the new build, which you know I do not own anymore. Oh, George, you're gonna have to explain that paragraph.
Yeah, the deal was, like I said earlier, it was 2.3 million that we were buying St George's Retreat office, which was good business for us because it was nine bungalows, a taverna, and a hotel site. The hotel site was valued at 700,000 alone. We were bidding off these houses in Almerida to get a proper hotel, holiday resort, which it ended up being. But because of Sue Watts telling Stephen Thomas there was a problem with the contract that she wouldn't understand anyway, in May 2009, it all went to the wall. Stephen Thomas still has his 4 houses, as far as I know today, in Almerida, and I still have my 4 houses in Almerida. And then there's a couple that's in the company name Veron. So this was all just made up into some count that I ended up getting 7 years through Howard Tennant, based on the lies that Cedric and Declan told Pat Brown again in April 2014. Very difficult, I suppose, the complexity of all this, but just like any other deal in Crete, it is complicated, but it's genuine, and it should have moved on, and people should have, like the Thomas brothers, should have done very well out of this.
Right.
The next paragraph, it's, I don't know if you want to talk a bit more about that, but
carry on. It seems, yeah, okay. So you've got property, Stephen's got property, and there's one in abeyance somehow, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But once this became part of what you want to call a crime scene, which it wasn't, of course, and all the bank accounts are frozen and personal and their own the company, you just can't trade, and all this confusion, is baffling me about it because like I say, all the deals were genuine. But of course, we now know that the Simon and Stephen Thomas with Sue Watt were hiding this 3.5 million, weren't they? So they didn't have to pay the tax. So they've muddied all the water to protect themselves and left me, with a prison sentence and sorting out the carnage even today.
Okay. All right. I've been convinced convicted, sorry, I apologise, of stealing €1 million from HT.
Howard Tennant.
Right. Lost the land and cost me €100,000 deposit. 140,000 new build house and 300,000 cash to HT for nothing, and now jailed for 7 years because my so-called crimes total over 1 million sterling collectively. All I was doing was protect Peter Morris's money, which I did. You were in
Aggie Nicolaus when we met Peter.
Yeah, and Julian Beecham in August 2010. 6 months after Peter had completed on St. George's, where we discussed the money still in Zakros and Valley, along with Peter's total support for me. Peter agreed to support me up until after Stephen Thomas' false allegations had been dealt with, open brackets, eventually sorted in Hanoi, 15th of October 2013, close brackets, which he did. You met Iris in the office in Aja Nicholas in 2012, which I was staying in Lundanda again, with the money from Zakros was discussed with him in front of you. You were in Athens with me when Aris was meant to pay me €302,000 in Zakros into Eurobank, which was the same time Ari was chasing me in Athens for money I owed him. Did you owe money?
Yeah, so this is like, I think this was in 2011 here. Cedric was told me to go to Switzerland to get the money out of the bank account there to try and pay this bail that I needed for all the nonsense that Sue Watt and the rest of them had sent over back in the civil matter with Stephen Thomas criminal. I met Aris in Athens, and this is a 302,000 in 2011. Well, again, Cedric told Pat Brownette, didn't he, that all the money came out of Zakros in October 2008. This complete nonsense is what Cedric said, which in fact got Pat Brownette to create this unlawful conviction, which was overturned at Popper. So Ali was chasing me for some money. That's quite right. If I'd have got the 302,000, I'd have given him some of that, which was mine, out of that, and blah blah blah. It's just down to cash flow issues. But we never got the 302,000. And Harry is a close friend of mine now. He's got a house here and still works closely with me. So again, it's a problem that's been caused, but it wasn't my making.
Right. Okay. Let me carry on. Jane Thomas was going to come to Crete with her son, James, in December 2013 to meet me to also try and recover some of the money to cover losses at the hands of Stephen. That is still in Zakros, held by Aris. But she told me on visiting me in Linderholm, is that right? In last October, last year, that Cedric suggested she should not come to Crete 2 months after I had been exonerated, which was bizarre, as said had all the money back with profit from Zakros in 2008. I know said and you have travelled to Zakros in April 2014, and met some villagers in Minalas, the lawyer in Satea,
Yeah.
but you did not take said to meet Aris on Aegea,
Yeah.
Nicholas.
Okay, let me explain all this then, because this is quite interesting. This is 2016, and I'm trying to find out, obviously, what I'm doing in prison. Now, so Declan was quite aware of this 302,000 from when he was in Athens with me in 2011. He also came to London, which I think in 2012. I think Yal came with him as well, which is my nephew, and the ex-wife Jane in Kenton. We spent some time there. And we were discussing this money with Aris, me and Declan, about ways of getting it back then. So Declan was always well aware of this money. Now, we mentioned about Jane Thomas coming over in December 2013 because Stephen had sent this letter to the Greek court saying that he couldn't fly. And then next in line was his son James, who could have come over with this letter and claimed this 302,000 himself. But of course, Jane Thomas has visited me in prison, and said to me, well, Cedric told me not to come in December 2013 because there was no money there. We know that Jane Thomas and Cedric were working right up to June 2014, even though Cedric and Declan had framed me, he was still trying to get Stephen prosecuted for the rapes and the batterings. So here we've got it again in a nutshell. It's all down to Cedric trying to protect this money that he knew. Declan knew this money was in Zakros and the money was in Bali. But to Cedric threatened by the Official Secrets Act, Declan with his credit card fraud or whatever. They've concocted all this to generate this, and it's captured in this one sentence here. So this is why I was sending this letter to Declan, as you can see, because Declan knew the truth from working here and being there in the deals. But he decided in 2014 that he was fed up with the case, and I'm going to jail, even though he admits I'm not a criminal in his letter 2011.
Right. Okay. You carry on from here.
Okay, so whilst mentioning Jane Thomas, she told me that you told her on the phone last January that I owed you or had stolen from Cameron and you €30,000. So, can you enlighten me on this falsehood? As Lauren said, that the reason you stopped visiting me now for the last year with Lauren, the following weekend was due to Jane Thomas's phone call. So does that mean that if anybody calls you to find out facts about Crete, you will simply not visit your dad? That to me stinks of a guilt trip, don't you think? That seems a strange reason to give to desert your wrongly convicted dad. And is there any other reasons not to expect a visit someday other than you wrongly believe was a liar? I know I still share some land with you and Cameron in Plaka that you paid towards in August 2012. And I've never asked for your or Cameron's name to be added to the contract, and you will deal with as soon as physically possible. And I hope this letter proves that I am an honest parent only wanting the best for my kids. So I do have some land in Plaka that they did pay some money towards me in 2012. So why would Declan and Cameron quite happily give me, I think it was 10,000 each that they gave me for some land, it was worth 140,000, something like that. I did it as a favour for them, really. So they had a bit of an asset out there that they could share with me. So there's evidence there that Declan must have trusted me wholeheartedly. Well, he did in his letter to Cedric in 2011. So in August 2012, he's quite happy to put some money into some land that I already own. He's helping me through proving my name in the Greek trial, right the way up till October 2013. And then come December 2013, he's working with Cedric to get me nailed. So, what more evidence do people want? He's just suddenly changed his mind that, it's better for me to get my dad out of the way because it helps my business and what have you. So, yeah, I'll go along with jailing him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then it goes on to say, what's the latest with Sam Cantell? Well, Sam Cantell is one of his best friends. That used to come over. There's a whole group of his mates that used to come over every summer, playing the squash and what have you. So I know Sam Cantell because he went to the same boarding school in Gloucestershire with him. And his dad bought a share of some land with me in Cambia. So So I'm just asking the question. There was no mention that he has been in touch with D.I. Taylor, which again is strange, as I acknowledged his joint ownership with me and do hold an email from his dad from the summer of 2011 not to transfer the land just after Sam's terrible accident on the road to the Secret Cove. Yeah, there was a car accident here in 2011, and I think Sam had been going back home with a lady that was very drunk driving the car, and she came off the road. Of course, Sam was quite badly injured and ended up in hospital, and we had to get him back for treatment in the UK. And his dad said, "Oh, if there's ladies like that or whatever, don't do the transfer in the name, sell it on to somebody else or whatever else." So it never did actually complete. But even to this day, I've tried to get hold of Sam Cantell, as a big friend of Declan's, saying, "Look, are you going to come over and claim this land or whatever?" But because he's roped in with protecting Declan now and what have you, no contact. So there's two pieces of land there that people have got interest in, but they thought, well, we'll turn our backs on those bits of land because, they're obviously making more money out of the businesses that I started in the UK that they have now than they ever thought they would do here. And I've just put here, look, this email states that due to the attitude of the lady involved in the accident, his father did not want anything else to do with Crete again and to sell his share. I also acknowledge the fact that his dad did send the taxes and legal fees for the transfer in May 2011, which Nikos, the lawyer, is still holding, which I made Cedric aware of in the summer of 2013. Again, like your land in Plaka, I will deal with this for Sam as soon as possible, so please kindly keep Sam updated. So part of the money that the lawyer has of 485,000, the taxes that he's holding, some of it belongs to Sam Cantell. Just like it's the same as Catherine Evans, the lady who had the land in Svinica we spoke about. Nikos the lawyer still got that. Nikos the lawyer still got the 400,000 from Bali. So it's very easy to you've listened to the tape recording of the lawyer as well. So
yeah, outrageous. That's outrageous, that is.
Yeah. So this is the problem. But I mean, if Cedric and Declan hadn't got together, I'd have been cleared on April the 27th against the one count against Matthew Clark that had been hanging on for 5 years, and would have all come back and sorted all these land deals out, continued to build housing. Keir would have gone ahead with Mario Churchioni and Paul Walker. We might have even looked at the flotation plans again and what have you. So, I've just been totally hoodwinked and entrapped by my own family. And here we goes on in this letter. You mentioned to me since was jailed, there were documents Cedric found in my apartment in Cockenhoria when you travelled with him to Crete in April 2014, regards Bali. I asked you to send me a copy as it would be helpful towards my acquittal. As you said, Cedric approached the seller at Bali with it, and it seems to have proved damning towards my wrongful conviction. Can you, as a matter of urgency, send me a copy of this, as I have no idea what it is or where it has come from? All I know is that Nikos, the lawyer, produced a receipt for 400,000 euros and a statement at Bradford Crown Court saying some rubbish about me telling Nikos to produce the receipt on behalf of Howard Tennants in 2009 when I paid Nikos the funds. This statement was made in November 2014 to West Yorkshire Police nearly 6 years later by Nikos after he received the 400,000 euros from me for Bali. If I asked him to produce such a receipt, why was it never mentioned before by him to Taya Bali or Stephen Grattage, especially after he tried to steal 25,000 euros off Uncle Said in December 2012 over the bail scam, which is what he listened to in the recording. So this is where Nikos has now become part of the trial of, he's made out that he's given me a receipt for 400,000, but he never had the money. But Declan was there on the 5th of March 2009 when the money was handed over. And we're back to this document that Cedric's found in the apartment that, Declan never sent me that to the prison, but Cedric did disclose this document in May 2020 to me for the first time. And it's this document that there has no... there's not a Greek version of it. It's just an English version that's dated the same day as the contract. So it's a forgery. But of course, as I said, I've written this to Declan in 2016. He still hasn't answered these questions today. So remember, you were at the meeting in Thessaloniki where Nikos arranged the Bali deal, and he represented Minolis, the seller, and me at the meeting and told us too it was the best piece of land in Crete ever to become available. It was full of marble. I never met any other lawyer than Nikos read the Bali deal. And this deal seems to have all happened after Nikos dealt with Howard Tennant, KPMG Athens, which was the accountants, the notary in City of Rizakros, and also he phoned Yanis Phronomakis and Jason, who were on a train to Russia, to tell them I'd just received €1 million from Howard Tennant to invest in Crete. I think now that Nikos had his eye on the Tennant's money all along, and he has not made Uncle Cedric into making me look like the criminal. Howard Tennant had the original receipt of 400,000 and I a photocopy given to us right back at the presentation done in the squash court to Pat Brownette and Peter Morris by Stephen Thomas, Sue Watt, Michael Thompson and me, dated April 2009, when the brochure was handed out re the St George's Retreat deal. So this is all a very, very key time of a lot of business going around. It was turning over like 4 or 5 million in the first 3 or 4 months of 2009. So I mean, there's a lot there, isn't there? But the story from day one, ever since my police interview in January 2009, as I sit here now, it's the same. I don't need to change anything because I haven't lied. And you can see how we've exposed Sue Watt totally now. Stephen and Simon Thomas for hiding this money from Jane Thomas. The rape confession. We've got Cedric's confession. We've got all the setups from January 2014 with the lies from Andrew West to Judge Thomas, and then the communication with Jane Thomas with Romana Senior, Bottomley, and again Stephen Taylor, while Cedric's still working for her. Andrew West's involved. They've just made my story has been straight from day one, and it'll continue to be straight because it's the truth. They've just made all this wishy-washy stuff up to protect their own backsides. I don't know if you want to say anything, Gladys, or
not really. I'm listening because you're actually putting responses in there for me anyway, so it's actually quite helpful. So carry on.
Okay. And so the charge from Howard Tennant for €1 billion that's stuck at Bradford Crown Court was reduced from 1,550,000 during the trial, with the reason being that HT paid the €50,000 to the notary in City to safeguard their €1 million loan with me. Pat Brownette admitted in the doc that this was paid, and he did receive the notarized document in Athens from Nikos, which KPMG, the accountants in Athens, verified as genuine. This document was deliberately hidden by my defence and the prosecution. That would have, without doubt, proven that there was no misrepresentation whatsoever to Howard Tennant. Is your Uncle Cedric aware of this court deception? Was he behind it to force a conviction like he was many things? Or was it that a conviction of your father must happen at any cost based on assumptions, not facts? Both Pat and Julian Beecham, in their West Yorkshire Police statements, July 2014, both state that they now think that I have been defrauded by them due to information given to them by my brother Cedric. Tarani refused to ask Pat or Julian. Chris Tarani was my barrister at the trial, obviously, that saw Cedric's report before the trial, but still hasn't shown it to me. So Tarani refused to ask Pat or Julian about this in the doc, and to this day I do not know what the information was. Do you? What is this mysterious document planted in my apartment in Cockanahorio? You owe it to your father to find out for the family's sake, son. Why not, whilst you're at it, read the bally bullshit paper Cedric found, get me this notarized document from Peter Morris, which proves I had a right to use their funds as I saw fit, and no money was required until the end of March into Zakros. Because the actual indictment for Howard Tennant was all the 1 million was meant to go into Zakros, which was complete nonsense because the money was already in Zakros from the 400,000 from Howard Tennant from July 2008, and it was still there. Right up till January 2010. But everything was wrong about that count. Anyway, it gave me the right to use Howard Tennant's money because I'd signed an agreement with an interest rate of 40%, which again numpty Cedric would not have seen or understood. Nobody in their right mind would sign an agreement at a rate of 40% and not have access to use the money as to see fit to generate the returns to cover the rate agreed. So basically, the agreement said that...
Where did 40% come from then?
It was written into the agreement that I signed on the 16th of February in Athens with Nikos and KPMG and Pat Brownette, because it was to do with the returns that we were going to get from from Zakros, which it sounds quite staggering at the time. But I'd done a test with them a year before based on 10% for 6 months, which was repaid. And because of the amount of money that they had in Zakros and returned, it sounds absolutely stupid. But I did sign it because I knew over the next 3 or 4 months I could work with this. But basically what Cedric is saying, or how this counterized, was that all this 1 million should have gone into Zakros, which was totally untrue, because we put another, like I said earlier, Howard Tennant's put 400,000 into Bali on the 5th of March. And then they did some other deals with me with that money, or ended up taking to St. George's Retreat.
So KPMG signed off on this?
No, they were the accountants who were at the meeting just to check, because we had the lawyers there, and they wanted KPMG Athens to be at the meeting as well, did Howard Tennant, yeah. There was no issue with what was signed and what was done that day, and the money was transferred. And then I just had the money working for me over the next 3 or 4 months. And then, of course, it all kind of came crashing down when the Thomas brothers had just got this tax bill and they'd started to use Sue Watt.
What was KPMG's role? The global accountants, what was their role?
Well, KPMG have a legal department as well, and KPMG were Howard Tennant's accountants in the UK. So it made sense for Pat Brownette when he came over, because obviously they are global. He wanted to use them, and I had Nikos, my lawyer, there, so there was no problem having KPMG there at all. They do have a legal arm as well as they basically are accountants.
No. The point being, though, so there's plenty of checks and balances. You've got lawyers there, you've got KPMG there as well.
Oh yeah,
and basically they're saying tick tick tick.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Got you. Just to warn you, we've got 4 minutes before.
Okay. Right. Let me just see. Okay. So, okay, I can't remember where I got that. So, okay, nobody in their right mind would sign the agreement to that rate. And Thomas was also paid 192,000 sterling from the loan money to take him out of Verona due to UK tax reasons, and Jane, his ex-wife, finding out about the 600,000 sterling stolen by Stephen through his divorce. Well, we know it's a lot more than that now, but I didn't realise that when I was in the prison at the time. This was all known to Howard Tennant, as they were going to come into Verona or form a new company with me based in Cyprus, as minutes by Pat Brownette at Chiswick, March the 21st, 2009, prove. So, this is all high-level meetings, flying backwards and forwards and what have you. They've just tried to make out that I'm a total scammer. I've got no idea about what I'm doing. But the meetings were, like you say, were at the highest level, and everything was managed. Nikos Vadakis receipted the 400,000 for the Bali money in April 2009. We come back to the tape recording where he's obviously snazzled it and quite happy. Well, Cedric's worked with him, hasn't he? Even though he's done that recording.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you got all these professionals around the table. And money's still flowing.
Yeah, and professionals that were going to help us float on the UK plus market, Darren Brown, who had taken 270,000. That when we talk about a €50 million trial, it's not out of the way. Every time we're talking about these large amounts of money, Zakros deal would have ended up being 25 million. Sue Watt ring fence 19 million for on. They've just made lots of hard work and graft and skill went into all this. And I'm still here today, still trying to fathom out all the nonsense, but you've just got this corrupt police force, my bent brother, a very devious son, a rapist, Simon Thomas, who orchestrated the hiding of this money from the gift from the wife. These are the criminals, and but we'll bat on, won't we?
Yeah, quite. Okay, on that point about batting on, make sure you make a point of where you've left off. Would you like to introduce your next song?
Yeah, well, I requested Going Underground, which again is quite apt, from the Jam last week, but I don't think it was played for some reason. There wasn't a first song, so can we try and play it this week, Brannis?
Going Underground by the Jam. It wasn't played, no?
No, I don't think so. No. Well, I didn't get it on my recording, and it's a good song. And of course, Declan and Cedric Cameron are all underground, aren't they now, hiding from this anyway?
It's a good song, actually. Let's let's play that now.
Some people might say my life is in a rut. I'm quite happy with what I got. People might say that I should strive for more, but I'm so happy I can see the fine things happening here today. A show of strength with your boys brigade. I'm so happy and you're so kind. You want more money, of course I don't mind. To my nuclear textbooks for atomic crimes, and the public gets what the public wants. But I want nothing society's got. I'm going underground. What if the brass bands play up? Start to pound, going underground. What if the boys all sing, or let the boys all shout for tomorrow? Might get some pleasure out to hate me. I've had enough already on my plate. People might need some tension to relax me. I'm too busy dodging between the facts. You see, here's what you get. You've made your bed, you better lie in it. You choose your leaders and place your trust, as their lies wash you down and their promises rust. You're killing machines with paper, rockets and guns, and the public wants what the public gets. But I don't give what the society wants. I'm going underground. All of the brass bands play up, we start to pound, going underground. So let the boys all sing, or let the boys all shout for tomorrow. La 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 la, la 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 la. We're talking till my head explodes. I turn on the news and my body blows. Spraying shit on my TV screen, but this boy shout, but this boy scream, going underground. Going underground. Going underground. I'm going underground.
So that was Going Underground, and we are back now. I was just about to call you Cedric then for some reason. I apologise. Let's carry on.
You're not branding me a criminal, are you, Brad?
I don't know why they're just coming ahead.
The wrong brother.
I think because when we were just talking off air, then you mentioned Cedric, and I just thought Cedric had come into my head. Anyway, it happens. I apologise. Yeah. We are where we are. So anyway, Darren Brown.
Yeah, so we're continuing this letter. Okay, Darren Brown, when cross-examined at Bradford Crown Court, admitted under oath that he was paid 75,000 sterling cash by John Jessup in July 2009. He had over 160,000 euros back from Zakros in November 2008. He was given 9,000 for a manoeuvre on UK PLC website in September 2009, and an all expenses paid trip to Crete in August 2009 with his family when I was in Australia sorting out the Ministry of Oman deal. And he was also given salary for Alistair Blundell, who was going to be the accountant for Veron UK PLC. None of these amounts were disclosed in his sworn statement given to Halifax magistrates that Cedric and Mr. Jeff Brown attended in March 2012, given to his deposition to Mr. Andrew West, but will confirm the amounts were paid under oath, under pressure from Chris Tarani at trial. It was clear that after a break in his giving evidence at the Crown Court, that he had received 270,000 euros or sterling, I think it was, towards the plus market. This was paid to Darren to secure all the investors' funds, including Peter Raystrick, who's your stepfather, Steve Cookson, who's one of Peter's best mates, Peter Price, who's a neighbour of your mother's at a chateau in France, and your mother to help with the flotation plans and costs. All these 4 people have been paid returns before October 2009 for investments and would not have suffered any hardship like we all have had over the last 7 years if our plans had been allowed to happen. They all fully supported me well up until I was wrongly jailed in HMP Leeds early 2014 and only got twitchy after Cedric came up with the falsehoods about me in Crete after your trip with him in April 2014. I still have a responsibility to find a way to repay all these people back one day, and I will.
Okay.
I have an email with me here where both Matthew Clark and Pat Brownette were due to come to Crete early January 2014 to settle their finances with me before I was again wrongfully arrested at Ripon on the 8th of January 2014 and was remanded by Andrew West the following day for 3 months, only to find out in April 2014, after leaving HMP Leeds, I could not speak to them because of the lies told to them by West Yorkshire Police, Cedric and others, whilst I was detained. So we're back to this key period again, aren't we, Brannis, of when I was remanded with the lies from Andrew West to Judge Thomas that we've spoken about. And I'm not aware at this stage of the massive role that Declan played in this. He played a bigger role than what Cedric did, because Cedric came over here, as we know, with the retired police officer Andrew Watt, no relation to Sue Watt, and they got this about no money in Zacro, so it was all taken out nonsense in October 2008. Like I said, Cedric couldn't have done it without Declan. So, Declan's more to blame, really, than I thought he was when I actually wrote this letter, which is 10 years ago.
Yeah. You did say you wanted to make some more comments as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously we've got to read it as it is, but obviously I'm in prison here in April 2016. It's, I think, just like I say, it was about a month before Declan's 24th birthday. I'm just wanting some answers of what on earth am I doing there and what have you. So, we've got to kind of keep it how it is and how it was written at the time. But of course, with Cedric's confession that we didn't have in that day at that time, we didn't know that he was still working with Jane Thomas at that point. He's obviously been blackmailed under this Official Secrets Act. So there's a lot that we know now that we didn't know then. So shall I continue reading, or?
Yeah, I don't mind doing a page.
Okay.
Okay. I'll do a couple of paragraphs because then we're going to get to the end. I can see that looking at it here. Okay, it goes on to say, on your trip to Crete with Uncle Ced, you also visited one of the 5 sisters in Lacus with Jason. What does that mean?
Well, we bought some land in Placus off 5 sisters in, I mean, it's 2007. And I don't know why they were going there in April 2014. There's actually a photo of Declan with Angelique, one of the sellers that Cedric gleefully took and sent to me whilst he was there. And I think, this is how far off the mark they are, because a lot of things had happened with that piece of land and a transfer of land in the same area that Declan knew about, but was leading Cedric a merry dance again.
Right, okay. I do not understand why you went to see her, as the only people involved in a deal in the end was and is Jason and me.
Yeah, Jason is Cedric and my Greek cousin that we've spoken about before. Family member.
Okay, I have no other partners, investors, or backers in this land, so do not see the relevance of going there unless Jason wants the land for himself, or you think I've stolen or defrauded myself of my own land. Now, going back to Declan, right? Just going back to it, right? Because obviously we went through this letter. Is Declan actually an interested party in these deals?
Well, he worked for me here for 2.5 years. I'm not saying it was directly salaried, but obviously it's quite expensive when you've got a son that's wanting to play squash all over the world, or good enough to play squash all over the world. Obviously, you need to support it because you don't get any money from the Squash Federation in Greece or the UK for this. You have to pay for your flights, hotels, and it could be in some cases, a week trip. So it was obviously, and there was a good connection with the squash crowd and what we were doing in Crete. Thus, the building of a squash court of international standard, and a lot of squash members' parents or them themselves having houses here, like Dave Campion and Marcus Berrett. Which are both of those two are legends in squash. And if it wasn't for those two, Declan wouldn't be anywhere like he is at the standard now. And of course, the support that my ex-wife Jane gave and me for him to reach that standard. So he's full aware of where the deals were. He knew about this deal because he actually went to the celebration in 2007, where we have a tradition here when we buy land that we go and eat hare, wild hare, which is a delicacy of Crete. And he was there with my ex-wife Jane. I think Kenton would have been about 4 or 5 years old then. Well, we celebrated the purchase of the land, so he knew we'd purchased it.
What, as in rabbit?
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right, fine. There's
lots of strange traditions here that we do when we buy and sell stuff and what have you, but I'm not complaining, they're good fun. And so this was just a nonsense and going there because all this had moved on. And this is connected to, we spoke about Catherine Evans' villa that said it was trying to make out I never had or she never had or something like that, and was money laundering with me, that nonsense email he sent out at the beginning of January. So he's just completely, he's just gone there like a goat on heat, Cedric, just to get anything on me to make it stick, to stop him being prosecuted.
I must admit, though, right, when, following this series, like I have, and I don't always give you a pass on what you say, is that there's an unhealthy interest to get you prosecuted.
Well, of course, yeah. And it's not, it goes right back to Keir Starmer, doesn't it? And, Andrew West, Sue Watt, and her husband, Simon and Stephen Thomas, for their reasons of money laundering. Michael and Kimberly Thompson, I still don't know why they suddenly flipped when they did in July 2009, because they should have really stood by me, and they would have hopefully had their villa that they wanted. That was the whole idea of when I first met them at a property show in Bradford in 2007. So yeah, most of them have been out there to. That's what it's all been about, hasn't it? We've got to get Christie in jail because he's invoiced West Yorkshire Police 20-odd million for when he's been illegally held in Greece. And all these shareholders are a lot of money down. Deals have collapsed and all the rest of it. If he doesn't get convicted, well, he's going to be after us for millions. Well, here we are now. I'm still singing the same song, in 2026. And, we'll get there, brothers.
Yeah, there was a case in America. I'm going to try and Google it. Whilst I'm gonna finish off this. Actually, I'll try and Google it in a minute. Okay, let me just carry on with this. Then you take over while I find out this case, which is very interesting because where the state basically feared prosecution, and they went out of their way to prosecute this guy. It went massive on Netflix. Anyway,
shall I continue this sentence while you look for that then?
No, I'll finish this off. And then you carry on the next bit. I've not spoken to him since your trip with him, but did visit
Angelique,
one of the sisters in July 2014, and rearranged my deal with her, whom was being used by your visit with Uncle Said and pre-briefing by Jason. So is there some sort of issues there going on there, Ralph?
Well, yeah, I mean, I had my bail conditions that were set in April 2014 that I couldn't do any business with any English people or speak to them and what have you, but I could go back to Crete, which was ridiculous because I couldn't complete on Catherine Evans' land that she's now lost, what I was trying to do for her. I couldn't help out David and Helen Folks with their piece of land that I'd been trying to sort out with them as well. I did manage to do something behind the scenes with their son, Nathan, which is still in place today. and this is I just lost my point here. Yeah, this is so. But I could obviously speak to Angelique, who is the spokeslady for the Four Sisters, because she was Greek. And so I just wanted it was her that told me that Cedric and Declan had been turning up. They recorded her. I never heard the tape recordings. You know, with the Cedric trying to even accused her of being a money launderer and hiding stuff from him. You know, so and this is a lady probably in the 70s, lovely family. And she couldn't believe what Cedric was saying, but he was that desperate to even try and criminalise her, to say that she hadn't had the money back that was put in there, which she clearly had. So that's July 2014. Obviously, this is the same month that I suddenly get 19 counts instead of the original one that I was meant to have settled in April 2014.
Okay. Well, whilst you've been talking, I managed to find the case. It's a case of Stephen Avery, and the series is called Making a Murderer. And whilst this is different, I understand that, but basically the police had to prosecute this guy because they wanted someone to be convicted of a murder, and he got sentenced. He got sentenced, went to jail, and his conviction was overturned. In the end, and then he sued the township for a lot of money, and it was pretty much more than their budget for the year.
Yeah.
And then my understanding is, from my recollection, is that they convicted him again for something else.
Yeah.
I don't know where he is now.
Yeah, I think if I was still in the UK, I think they'd have been throwing the book at me, just like the horrific treatment that Jane Thomas is still having. And I still think a lot of people like Paul Walker or Mario Cioccioni or other people, I mean, even I can't understand Pat, let's roll in all this. But I think people I know Benedict Clark said he didn't want to do anything against the police because he still lives there. He didn't want them harassing him when he's driving a car and things like this. And coming back to, I'm still confident that, I and others are owed virtually 100 million sterling now with all this nonsense that's gone on. And it's documented and it's lodged. And even if it takes another 4 or 5 years, I will pursue that for the people. Exactly what I'm telling Declan here. We still owe these family members, like his stepdad, some money, and friends of his, which Deborah, his mother, fully supported. And it's actually the Police Federation that we need to sue, because they're the ones that have got all the money. I mean, you just got the head of the Police Federation arrested last week, haven't you? He was earning 700,000 a year salary. And, he's been committing fraud. So, and also the Ministry of Justice have got a lot to answer for because of their role with Keir Starmer, the Home Office, the CPS London, back in 2011, cross-border lies, which is it's quite shocking that one country would send lies, which included lies about Cedric in that, as well as my ex-wife Jane, that were proven totally unfounded in the trial here in 2013. So it's a long game of chess, but we will, it's not over yet, and my king's not going to get knocked over.
All right, let's continue on. The only other unsecured land in this area is the Dutch lady's house that Jason had the power of attorney since 2007, which should now be in Catherine Freeman's name. I told Gareth to contact Catherine about the land when he visited me in Lickenholm.
HMP Lindholm.
All right. Okay, it doesn't say HMP, but okay, fine. The last October, so hopefully it is being dealt with, is what it says here.
Yeah, so Catherine Freeman became Catherine Evans, I think April 2014, but she will correct me if that year's wrong. Unfortunately, her husband, David, that she married, died soon after that, but very nice gentleman. So she became Catherine Evans, who is the lady that Cedric sent the email for at the beginning of January this year, which we spoke about in the previous show, where he's accusing her of money laundering with me on this very same plot that we're talking about in Svinica. So at this stage, it was in the name of a Dutch person, which is true, which I thought it was back then. Now, we also know that now that in August 2013, with this property, with Nikos Nichosadakis, the lawyer here that we know as Ben, and an estate agent in Plakias, that the power of attorney that Catherine signed in January 2013 here, I think it was 2013, and then the one that Jason signed in 2007, which is mentioned here, they were rebuked and they went back to the original power of attorney that the Dutch lady had. So they managed to do the sale behind Catherine's back. And this again is down to the lunacy of Cedric and Declan in April 2014, trying to criminalise me on some land that the Five Sisters had, which I'm no longer a part of, or if I am, I'm owning in there with Jason. And then Catherine losing this house that was costing her 170,000, which is probably valued at 700,000 or 800,000, if not more, today. So,
Wow.
Garth is
what a mess.
Yeah, Garth is my older brother. Who visited me in prison. I'm telling him must have been 2015 at HMP Lindham. Can you get this property sorted out for Catherine, please? Lest she's going to lose it. Exactly what I told Cedric to do when I was jailed in Greece in February 2013. Can you sort this out for Catherine? It's got to be done. And I actually sent an email to Cedric when he was emailing me from this area with Declan in April 2014. Whilst you're there, sort this out for Catherine, please. Well, took no notice of that, did he? And now he's got himself embroiled in complete nonsense where he's emailed her and me about this since 2019, accusing her of making false minutes at a shareholders meeting he took and all the rest of it. So that's all part of his delusion, unfortunately.
Right. Okay. Do you want to carry on reading now?
Yeah. As you are aware that Yanis Varoufakis was used as a prosecution witness in Bradford Crown Court by a statement he gave in Hanya, possibly to Cedric, and read out at Bradford Crown Court, Yanis Varoufakis is a convicted people trafficker and a convicted pimp from 1999 in Greece, as well as being a compulsive gambler. And he defrauded my cousin Stamos, that we all knew about the house he purchased in Plaka. How on earth has this man got said to believe that he and Alan Thompson are straight and I am the bent one? Alan Thompson was laughed out of court in Bradford and seen as a complete liar, thankfully, but paid by West Yorkshire Police to be there. It was proven in 2 courtrooms in 2 different countries that the receipt from Keir was genuine and that 570,000 euros was paid to Alan Thompson, and it was Thomas's deal in the first place, and that I paid back Adrian Clark 160,000 euros on Adrian's investment of 146,000 euros in Keir in late 2008. The concept of Keir document that Uncle Cedric has probably never seen proves everything without doubt in Bradford Crown Court that I've been saying for 6 years. And this paper was given to Stephen Thomas, Mario Churchioni, and Adrian Clark, and myself on purchase in May 2008. Tamara Stamos, who is also a family cousin of ours, who's unfortunately died now, has all the frauds on the discs committed by Alan Thompson and Stamos with her as she was working for Phoenix Villas for a year in 2011. If you care to tell Uncle Cedric that, I also have a copy of the disc. So, to be fair, going back to Yanis Varoufakis, I'm still in contact with him, and I don't think he had such a bigger role in this as I kind of made out from this letter in 2016. It's all back to Alan Thompson, which I'll send you the recording of that with Cedric, because we can do a full show on that in the next week or so, where Alan Thompson has completely changed his mind about me in May 2013 on tape after meetings with Cedric and me in December 2012, where he's fully on board saying he'll be a defence witness in Crete. Ralph's a great guy. We've done lots of money exchanges together. He spent a lot of money with my company and all the rest of it. But we're going back to this money that Simon and Stephen Thomas got from the sale of West Six Carpets. And he's obviously been given a bit of money. Plus, he had the added bonus of selling the villa here for Simon Thomas around April 2013 for $500,000. So, he's done all this to go against me for his own financial gain.
Lots of skullduggery going on here. It seems like quite a lot of transactions as well, where the thing that I don't understand is how you can deny money movement. That's the bit I don't get.
Well, we've got a lawyer's receipt for 400,000 to Howard Tennant's. I mean, no lawyer in the world is going to give a receipt unless they've received the money. But the lawyer was quite happy to Bradford Crown Court to say, yes, I wrote the receipt, but Mr. Christie never gave me the money. Here we've got Alan Thompson, who's given a receipt for 570,000 on Felix Villa's letterhead, who we brought the land off in 2007.
Where did that money go then?
It goes to... Alan Thompson.
No. If you've got a lawyer giving you a receipt to say that he's received, or she has received 500,000, 400,000, whatever it was, right? Where did that money go?
Well, it's a bit strange here. They don't kind of have like clients' accounts like you have in the UK. So it would either stay in the person's bank account, or if it was paid cash, which it was in this term, he would probably just hold it himself in his safe in his office, which again sounds bizarre. Or he might even use it for something else, thinking that he's going to come back from another source at a later date. You know, it's when you understand the labyrinths of how it actually works here, it does actually work. But it's only where all this has fallen apart is Sue Watt not understanding contracts in May 2009, which was the St George's retreat, and possibly other contracts, because she'd never bought a blade of glass here. And then also Simon and Stephen Thomas wanting to cover up this 3.5 million and using her and paying her a salary for 3 years, probably before she realised that he was a rapist and had already embezzling his ex-wife. But she certainly knew by March 2010, when he was interviewed by the police, and continued to work for him for a period of time after. So it's a balancing act, really, of money in, money out. But rather than it going through a lot of banks, it's cash.
But basically, right? So the money goes into a safe, yeah, and you get receipt, and then basically the solicitor may use that as pocket money.
Well, wait a minute. I mean, we're speculating here, aren't we? And I don't know the actual facts of it, because, of course, you've got the buyers that want the deposit, not the solicitor. So the solicitor will have given the receipt to Howard Tennant for 400,000, and what would have happened with that? Will the most we had in Bally on the 7th of March 2009 was 600,000. So that solicitor will have either told the seller that I've got 600,000 myself from Ralph Christie and his backers for this land. Do you want me to look after it, or do you want me to bring it over there and give it
cash?
to
In cash.
Yeah.
Extraordinary.
And also there was a million in cash in Zakos. It's but this is the way I was told to do it. And the one, if you're told that way by lawyers and accountants that this is the way it's done, you just do it. And but of course it's all kind of fallen. I've been scapegoated, as we know, and all these other people are, what we're going to do? I'm going to go to prison now because I've told Mr. Christie to do this and do all the rest of it. So they've all just gathered in, and including Cedric and Declan, and just thought, well, it's easier just to take my dad out or my brother. Yeah,
we've got about 7 minutes left, Ralph. Do you want to talk about the rest of that?
Yeah, we'll try and get through this. Yeah. Lastly, when I was in HMP Leeds, Cedric sent me a solicitor's letter from M. Milner's, Leeds, 26th of the 2nd, 2014, demanding 129,871 sterling I owed him from July 2010 till September 2013, which I admit he lent me to help the terrible state of affairs West Yorkshire Police had put us in. One part is for 24,000 sterling that Jarl, who's our nephew, admitted by email I gave him the full amount of for a flooring job in Mayfair, which had made Cedric think I had defrauded him, so brought in long-term friend Dave Francis as a prosecution witness in April 2014. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us, but he was a great friend. I have spent over 5 million with the Headland Carpet Group over the years, and over 1.5 million with Hadfields. Dave's company cleared Carl Bolt's debt with Dave Francis, so Jarl could get the shop at Stanningley in Leeds when we moved to Crete. And I paid back Dave clear profit from Crete which Dave backed up in the witness box, because Cedric had made Dave Francis a prosecution witness and obviously wasn't a victim. So, I got not guilty against his, exactly like I did against all Mario Churchionis and Paul Walkers. Okay. This shows the level of confusion and lengths Uncle Cedric went to. in April 2014 to force ridiculous convictions with some help from you. Tony Wormold lent me 100,000 sterling for 6 weeks in January 2009 and made 15k profit when repaid on time, but dragged in as also as a prosecution witness when all of it was a simple business transaction between two friends of many years. Mario Ciccione blackmailed to be a prosecution witness and now most likely lost everything, including Kira, the one thing I fought long and hard for Paul Walker and him to keep. The shocking state of affairs goes on and on. I am now for a third time wrongly jailed. But my main point here is that Cedric thinks I owe him 130k sterling when quite simply he has jeopardised 570,000 in Kira, 302,000 still with Aris in Zakros, 400k in Bali, believes Placius Palace is a scam, believes that the flotation plans were false, and like you, St George's hotel site was not paid for me, and clearly it was. Plus a lot more crap spread by his colleagues, ruined our family life, etc. I think even you must agree with me, this 130k sterling is small fry compared to nearly 2 million in 3 land deals stated above. Bear in mind this 130,000 sterling that Cedric's on about here. This is written in 2016. It was repaid by my Pocker lawyers and two Milners who were spoken about earlier of Cedric's debt for 130,000 9 months after I wrote this letter. Anyway, the last bit I said, I have never as a father put you in any danger whatsoever and never would. I have never asked you to carry cash on a plane over the legal limit from country flying from, never put you knowingly in the company of criminals, tried to encourage you in play as well as work. I have confided business ethics with you and hopefully provided you with the life skills required for a good, honest and caring life. Happy 24th. Much love from darling Babas. And Babas is father in Greek. and I've just signed off with 3 kisses.
Yeah, I see that, yeah. How does that make you feel reading that out? Just out of interest.
Well, I think at the end there, the emotional part of it, it does. Of course, it's not good. I mean, but we are where we are, and I'm not saying you're hardened because you can't harden to this, but you've got to deal with it, haven't you, in a correct manner, and hopefully keep your composure. It's quite interesting. I spoke to Kenton this morning on the phone, and I said that you'd asked Cedric and Declan and Cameron to possibly come on the show, and they haven't. And I says, would you come on? He says, yeah. He says, but what would I say? I says, I don't know, Dick Kenton, but if Valis asks you to come on, it's one of these where you just kind of sit there and Valis asks the questions and everything seems to flow. There's nothing preempted about it. So there's somebody that might come on. And, yeah.
People don't actually believe that, right, Ralph? It's really funny because I don't have a script. I don't prepare myself with a list of questions. I let the interviewee lead me down a path. Obviously, I will start off with an initial question, and it works perfectly for me. That initial question leads on to another question, to another question, to another question. So I get to learn the way they're thinking and also the journey that they believe they've gone down. And, you know, as I said to you, other people in the past, the you know, where they say, well, for example, the guest is lying. Well, fine, let them lie. That's their belief, and that's their lies. It's their record. It's their record. So I don't mind them lying. I really don't, because it creates a record, and what you find is that it exposes contradictions.
Of course, you can't speak freely if you're lying. And all the time in the witness box, I was speaking quite freely and what have you. And I could see, or you know, the script was all, you know, what was going to happen to me was going to happen. I mean, you've got to think of the way ITN solicitors, Tayyab Ali and Miriam Shabam, just aborted me and allowed Chris Turani and Stephen Grattich in cahoots with Cedric and Declan and the prosecution and the West Yorkshire Police just to nail me regardless of what the truth was, which is quite shocking. And there should be serious questions about how those two, Grattich and Turani, are even allowed in a Crown Court in England. But, you know, hopefully they'll have their day. And I know we're maybe not ready for the last song, but coming back to Declan, I can remember we were in the car.
You've got 2 minutes.
Yeah. I was in the car with Cameron and Cedric in Ripon. It'll have been probably before, maybe let's say January 2013. And I said to says Cedric. I said, Declan's done a great job. He's doing great with his squash. He's got his business mentality and all the rest of it. He's just not quite the finished article yet. I've just got a couple of pieces to tweak on him and what have you. And I think Declan might have taken that as a bit of a wrong way, thinking, well, I don't need my dad anymore. I can manage. I've picked up everything. I'm a great sportsman. And I think I kind of showed him too much too young, because, you're talking about a 17-year-old that left school. Okay, went to school here to learn his Greek for a year, but he was basically working in the companies and seeing all this money flying around and what have you. And I think squash is quite a selfish game. It's not like a team sport like football and things like that, which I was involved in. And what I was doing over here was a team, really, about people who wanted to come and live and enjoy the culture of Crete. It wasn't about greed of who can I rip off or who can I make more money out. It was all a way of, like I've said before, a way of life here that we actually cherish. We absolutely love it here and always have done. And it's not based on greed at all, as you will find out when you come over to visit us.
Okay, we need to finish up. Just two questions. Number one is, what are people going to hear next week? And number two is, can you tell us your song?
Yeah, I think we'll do a little bit more on Suwat on an email that I've sent out to Mr. Fairburn this morning, and we'll do Cedric's confession, a letter to me about his disclosure in May 2020 that he should have disclosed before the trial. So coming back to this inspirational song by St. Elmo's Fire, Man in Motion. And we live in Crete where the eagles keep flying higher and higher, and we do have them here. It's a great inspirational song, and Man in Motion.
Okay, we're going to play that now, and we'll see you next week for episode number 18.
Passing by,
say if your love grows as your heart shows only time? Who can say why your heart sighs as your love lies only time? And who can say why your heart cries when your love lies only Who can say when the roads meet that love might be in your heart? And who can say when the day sleeps if the night keeps all your heart? Night keeps all your Who can say if your love grows as your heart shows only time? And who can say where the road goes, where the day flows only time? Who knows only time? Who knows only Who can say where the road goes, where the day flows only time? And who can say if your love grows as your heart shows only time? Who can say why your heart sighs as your love lies only time? And who can say